Hello, I'm Eric Cunningham, Associate Dean for Academics in the Division for Adult Higher Education. In my last presentation, I shared with you some reasons why you should consider incorporating active learning techniques into your classroom activities. As I promised at the end of that presentation, I'm now going to share with you a couple simple active learning activities you could use in your classroom. We all want to engage our students with the content that we're trying to teach and make every moment we have in the classroom as effective as possible. Thankfully, there are a few simple active learning techniques that you can incorporate in your classroom that can help boost the effectiveness of your instruction. One of the first things you will want to do is to start off your course with an icebreaker, one that helps you and your students get to know one another. You can start them off with a list of things to tell about themselves, such as name, place of employment, and academic major. You might also ask them to answer a few specific questions, such as, in what area are you an expert? Or, what about you might be perceived as novel or different? You can model the technique for students by first introducing yourself and then go around the room. Another option is to pair students together, have them interview each other, then introduce the other person to the class. You're not only helping everyone get to know each other, but you're also getting the students comfortable with having discussions and speaking in front of the class. It might also be good early on to get a writing sample from students. You can give them a few prompts like, why did you take this course? What do you expect to learn? Or where do you see yourself in 10 years? You get to see where they are as writers and also get some insight into what topics might interest them. One last thing on early in the course activities, get to know your students' names. Research has shown this to be very beneficial. Classroom rapport will be greatly enhanced, your active learning activities will work better, and it is very likely that the student response rates on end-of-course evaluations will improve. Once your course is underway, it's time to start employing active learning techniques. The first technique we'll call the round robin. It's primarily a brainstorming technique in which students generate ideas but do not elaborate, explain, evaluate, or question the ideas. Separate the students into groups of 4 to 6, then ask them to establish a group recorder. Tell students whether or not they will go around the group once or multiple times. Announce a time limit and then pose the prompt. Group members take turns responding to a question that you pose with a word, phrase, or short statement. All students get an opportunity to speak. After students have generated ideas, ask the recorder in each group to share one of their responses. From that response, you can lead a short discussion. Continue this technique from group to group until all their ideas have been addressed. You may choose to list their ideas on the whiteboard under predetermined rubrics or look for novel patterns or categories to develop. After the idea generation phase, you are fully in charge of guiding the discussion, but the intent is not to revert to a lecture. The next technique we will call the jigsaw, which is designed for groups of 4 to 6 students. In this technique, students work in small groups to develop knowledge about a given topic and become experts. They then break up and join a new group where they are now the only expert on their topic in the group. Some options include assigning groups in one class and asking students to gather resources for the next, assigning smaller pieces of a larger topic to each group, or giving each group a specific reading or portion of a text to summarize for the rest of the class. In the end, the students are working on summarizing and analyzing the material of the course and helping teach each other along the way, while you act as a facilitator for the larger discussion, guiding students when they get off course. The jigsaw is also a great way to introduce students to the professional literature of your discipline. So remember, use an icebreaker for you and your students to get to know one another. Use the round robin technique to brainstorm and generate ideas as a class. And use the jigsaw technique to break larger ideas into smaller chunks and allow students to learn from one another. These were just a couple examples of active learning techniques. So if you have examined your teaching methods and found them lecture heavy, you should try one of these activities or search for others that better fit the needs of your class. Your students will be glad you did. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation, and thank you for all you do for our Columbia College students.